Hello lads and ladies, and welcome back for another video on the channel. The January transfer window has ended in February, as we are today going to review all the latest ongoings in Sky Bet League One. We're going to rank every Sky Bet League One football club's kind of January transfer window. Some clubs didn't need to add as much as others. Some have added in right areas. Some might be struggling in some areas. We're going to quite rank it on what their team needed and maybe wanted in that window as well. This is your home of League 1 and 2 content as well. We are joined by everybody's favourite co-host, the lovable Jake Tong. How are we, mate?
Hello again. I feel like I saw you. I feel like I saw you 2 minutes ago because we did our League 1 transfer deadline day stream. But no, I'm good, Ben. Thank you. I've got all my preparation. I'm looking forward to it. Let's. I think we might ruffle some feathers.
So we're going to start off with bottom of the league and go right the way up the division to top of the league as well. Let me know how you'd rank your team. Be honest with us. Let me know your ranking of the whole division as well, if you like as well. I tell you what, let's go for a big like goal on this video. Should we go for it? We'll go for 240 likes. That's 10 likes per League One football club. So the categories are A, B, C, D. And what Jake got a lot in school, a lot of Fs. F is for a failure, not a great window at all. D is, well, it was okay. They got maybe a few bodies in, but still off it. C, decent-ish window, but maybe lack something. B, you're starting to talk about a good window there. A, not bad. Very, very good.
Fair enough. I mean, you talk about me getting Fs. I don't know about you, Ben, but I've got 9 GCSEs A star to C. What about you? How many have you got?
I got a 2-1 at university.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
I also won an award at the Football Content Awards.
Yeah. So did I, partly because I contribute so massively to the Cods Vlogs channel.
Let's get going. That type of behaviour is for the members. If you want to become a member down below, you know where to do.
Is it members? Oh, I can stop.
No, it's not members. It's not members.
Oh, it's not. Oh.
No. Off with Cambridge United, they added to their goalkeeper ranks in Marco Morosi before bringing in Stevenson as well. Don Bollard also joined the football club.
I think it's good. I think what they probably needed maybe was another midfielder. The onus off Josh Stokes, because he seems to be the only one that's being able to create anything for Cambridge at the moment. But they've added options up front. Obviously, with Lavery being injured, they bring in Don Ballard, like you mentioned. I liked how they reacted with Nathan Bishop coming in right on the deadline as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's been an okay window. I think they maybe could have done with a bit more experience to go alongside Michael Morrison. So, yeah, I'm probably lying to go C, Ben.
I don't think it's been poor. They've added striker. They've added a couple of goalkeepers, one that will play to the end of the year. I think lower C. That's where I'd go. Just about a pass at high school. So, yeah, well done to Cambridge United. Shrewsbury Town added Vidane Oliver, formerly of Gillingham, and again, Bradford, he struggled there as well. Not often you get a low move from a League 2 football club to a League 1. If this was under Paul Hurst, I don't think it's a great signing. However, under Gareth Ainsworth, it's a good signing. Dominic Gape, who's worked with Ainsworth before, that again, he's come from Eastleigh. They've lost Bloxham, which is big losses. They did sign Stewart, who was formerly, in non-league pyramid as well. Callum Stewart, he was at Leamington, wasn't he? He's done well this year, 14 and 23.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of their window, Ben, and I wasn't a fan of their summer business either. When we did a video on that, I've spoken to a couple of Shrewsbury fans today, the day after the deadline window, and they're sort of calling it the worst transfer window ever. Whilst they've got some generals in there, the likes of Gape, obviously, who's played under Ainsworth before. Stewart and Dinanga are quite unproven at this level. Vidane Oliver, the last time he did it effectively at League One was nearly 5 years ago in the COVID season for Gillingham. And losing Tom Bloxham, I think when you take into consideration the fee that they got for Bloxham compared to other players who are of a same or less quality than him, since his move to Blackpool, he's been outstanding. I think you have to rank it as a bad transfer window. Carl Winchester is a big part of the furniture at Shrewsbury. He obviously left because he was feeling homesick. I don't think the board or Mickey Moore, the director of football there, backed Ainsworth at all. Sort of limping to the finish line and will be playing League Two next year. That's my opinion. I think it's one of the worst windows.
I do think that Ainsworth has had to call in a few favours as well. That, Gape coming into the football club for Dane Oliver, those types of players. If it wasn't Ainsworth, I think we'd be ranking it in F. I really do. They have lost players as well, and that's what you've got to judge it from. I think F. I don't think it's been a complete failure because they have added players that know the division, that know Ainsworth, that play under his style. So I would say probably D, lower D.
We can agree with that, although I'm not overly sure if Shrewsbury are a D. I don't know if we're going to slip anyone into an F category. Well, maybe the next team.
Yeah, they lost Ronan Darcy, which is a massive loss. They brought in Rory Feely, that I've never thought has been good enough at League Two level, at the upper echelons of that division. Like a striker that you think is going to go and score. They did sign Doyle, who's on loan, but there's not been a great deal of urgency, really. They haven't added to the squad enough. There's not enough quality in the side. And I know budget might not allow, but it just feels, especially with what's going on at the football club, they're a long way off it.
Well, this is the reality of a club that have one of the bottom budgets in League Two every year coming into League One, where the budgets are sometimes, based on player wages. Last year, Ben, it's gone up 58% since last season. Inflation has, and Crawley Town are really becoming a victim of that. I like Kamari Doyle. I thought he was bright at Exeter in the first half of the season. Matt Cox has had a decent loan spell at Bristol Rovers. Didn't really work out with their fans for him, though. If I'm putting Shrewsbury in that category, I think Crawley has to go in the F category because that is
100% agree.
It's catastrophic, Ben. They've not from the outside in, and Crawley fans, if you're obviously watching, you can tell it's different. It just looks like they're not massively fussed. They know they're likely going to be in League Two again next season. They could make a fist of it if they had a better month, but unfortunately, Rob Elliott, it appears, hasn't been backed in the manner in which he would have wanted to have been.
Agree with that. Burton Albion, they've trimmed the squad. They did let go of Billy Bowden and Whitfield out on loan. I've gone to Reading and obviously back to Barrow for Ben Whitfield. They've also let Elliot Watt go, who was the captain as well. I think that says a lot about how they probably did too much in the summer, that it was too much of a turnaround. They didn't really have a culture there from last year as well. However, bringing in the likes of John Daddy Bodvarsson, Dodson, who's fantastic so far this year. They've got results. Gary Bowyer's come in and really settled them up well. They've got rid of Horsey out on loan as well, who probably his minutes might be lacking because you can't play him and Bodvarsson up front. They brought in players of quality. They brought in JJ McKeeran on loan, who has been outstanding so far this year. Anne-Marie, if you're watching. But I think higher B. Because they've identified some weak areas, but also I think about cutting the squad, or they had to cut because the squad was too big, too many personalities from different backgrounds.
Yeah, I feel what you have to do in this situation, Ben, is try and ignore the recent upturn in results from Burton, because it's only over a short period of time that, these signings, Bodvarsson, McKeon and Dodson, have all come in and helped Burton go. I think they're now 5 unbeaten since the arrival of all of those players.
3 wins, 2 draws.
Yeah, John Daddy Bodvarsson has scored the goals. JJ McKeon set them up. Owen Dodson has provided plenty of assists as well. I think they're 3 particularly good signings. James Jones has played at this level before, Ben, for Lincoln. He was part of that team that reached the playoff final in the COVID season. So he has experience of being at the top end of this league. And Kyron Lofthouse, who I think has from online from Barnsley really late last night. I think he's a decent fullback. First half of the window, they've kept players as well. There were links with Godwin Belief to abroad. And
where are you standing on putting them?
In a B, mate.
In a B. So far we've got B for Burton Albion, C for Cambridge United. There you are. Just unfortunately, there's no S. If there was an S, Shrewsbury might be going in it, to be fair.
S tier means good though, Ben. S tier means good. We can't put Shrewsbury in the S tier.
Next up is Northampton Town, who did manage to bring in some quality during this window as well. The likes of Terry Taylor on loan, who did attract interest actually from other football clubs as well. Dara Costello impressed this season in League Two at Accrington Stanley, in a struggling Accrington Stanley side. Liam Shaw was brought in at the start of the month. Ben Perry is coming on loan as well. Erin Costello, a bit of an attacking midfield output in Terry Taylor. Liam Shaw will offer a little bit of support. You've probably gone from a 6 to just under an 8 in terms of chances of staying in the division.
Thinking C, Ben, I think it's a similar sort of window to Cambridge. They had issues in the midfield. They didn't have a lot of depth and a lot of options. They've now brought in Liam Shaw to play that holding role and Terry Taylor to play in there alongside him. And technically is probably miles above anything else that Northampton have got. But I felt like the recruitment in the summer was sort of trying to cover for the hole that Mark Leonard left. I think Northampton are in a better position, similar to Cambridge. So I think to be fair, I think we have to stick them in the C category.
That I would put their business better than Cambridge United, if I'm honest with you. Peterborough United spent over £1 million, says Chairman Darren McAntony. Lindegan came into the football club, experienced pro Carl Johnson. Theo Adoon, who again has had a good experiences at Lincoln City, struggled at times at Charlton. Sam Hughes, again, struggled to get into the Stockport County team, and Joe Andrews joined the football club. However, losing Joel Randall is a big loss for any football club. I know their supporters are mixed on him. They've added players to the squad, not really lost too many bodies. However, the squad needed desperate a revamp to go again. It's solid business, but I don't think any of the players really, you think, wow, phenomenal, what a signing. But people never really go and buy superstars, they go and make them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think their business has probably been as good as Northampton, as we mentioned above. They had a clear and obvious issue in terms of defence. They were very inexperienced at the back. Bringing in Johnston, who's played 100 games for Fleetwood. Teo Eden, like you mentioned, has played a lot of games at this level, at the top end of this level. Sam Hughes been at this level with Burton Albion, has been involved in relegation battles. So to pick him up from Stockport has added a real grit into that back line. I think them three now joined together to make that back line that have been pretty poor since they've come in, let's be fair. Gustav Lindgren is the one that I really like. He is a Peterborough style centre forward. He gets in behind, similar to what Dwight Gale used to do in British Sombalonga. Jack Sparks was brought in as basically an emergency because Rio Adebisi is out for the season. Sam Curtis going back isn't a massive loss. I'm probably thinking C, Ben, alongside Cambridge, but I just feel like they maybe could have added a bit more attacking impetus apart from just Lindgren, because we all talk about Peterborough being so good going forward. Well, without Kwame Poku in the team, they aren't, and Kwame Poku is probably going to leave in the summer. So what I thought they might have done is bring in a player who maybe a little earlier than what they would have wanted to get him used to the environment and the building, to then hit the ground running next season. I think that's going to be a big loss. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm probably inclined to go C. Between Cambridge and in that cube, then we've got two teams at 8 Peterborough, either side of Peterborough.
Bristol Rovers, they signed 5 players in this window, including Romain Sawyers. Matt Butcher came in on loan, and Miles Roberts also joined the football club on loan. However, losing Josh Griffiths, who's a massive loss, no fault of Bristol Rovers, due to Ipswich signing the goalkeeper Palmer from West Brom. It wasn't a great window. I like the signing of Matt Butcher the most. Romain Sawyers was good, 3 or 4, 5 years ago. Overall, good signing. He's also signed a couple more, Jake.
Yeah. Care to tell me who else they signed, Ben?
Michael Reindorf.
That's correct. Yeah.
And Sil Swinkles.
What were you scared about? You had them both bossed down, mate. Look, it's been a decent window, I think, for Bristol Rovers. They've brought in a bit of experience. Matt Butcher and Sawyers have that little bit of depth in there as well. Swinkles, a young centre-half. I'm pretty sure they had Bogard, didn't they, on loan from Aston Villa? So they're continuing that relationship there. Losing Josh Griffiths, who has probably been their best player so far this season, is unfortunate. And we were chatting on the live stream last night about these recall clauses and when they should be in place, because West Brom recalled him. I think they announced it at 10 o'clock last night, Ben, shortly before, giving the Gats an hour to find a replacement, and I'm sure they probably have them ready to go, but it's still quite a frustrating situation to lose your best player. I'm probably, again, Ben, not just to shove a load of teams in C, but I think Bristol Rovers are another team. Or actually,
Yeah.
Ben, do we put Bristol Rovers in D because of the loss of the goalkeeper? What are you
Yeah,
thinking?
I think that's got to be player factor. I'd go D.
Top of D.
Yeah. Exeter, where do we start with them? Look, Colwell coming on loan is a good signing. I like the signing of Alex Hartridge coming back to the football club. Ed Turns is a good signing. Ryan Trevor, I think, is an also good signing for the football club. Losing Ali is a big loss, massive loss. The top goal scorer, the player that got you off your feet, that really excited you every time you got on the ball.
The fee they got for him, rumouredly £1.5 million,
Yeah,
is Nick Ali a £1.5 million player? In my opinion, no. So I think whilst it is a shame to lose him, I think by getting that value
yeah,
and reinstalling that into the squad, the biggest loss I feel is Tristan Kramer, because he
yeah,
was outstanding for them. But they've kept Joe Whitworth. They've brought back Trevor and Hartridge, who both had really good spells there last season. They've got in Joel Colwell, who's probably one of the top performing young players in the league below, which is good. They've recruited a young centre back in Ed Turns from Brighton, who is very good for the level below and probably could become good for the level that they're at now. They've signed the next one on the road from Minnelli, isn't he? He's come from the same club, the same position, in Andrew Oluwabori.
well done.
No, Ben. I'm inclined to put them at the top of C. I think they're better than
Yeah,
all of Peterborough,
for
Cambridge,
the fee
and
they
Northampton.
got for a football club that needs to be self-sustainable, we'll go with it. Wigan Athletic, you've just been so meh this year. Hungbo, Will Goodwin joined on loan. I think it's a good signing. However, I like the signings of John Mellish. I think that did well in a Carlisle shirt. I think their supporters were glad to get rid of him at the end because he didn't want to be there. Owen Dale and Ronan Darcy will add flair to a side that needed a bit of X factor. The lost Deloise guard as well, which is a big loss. Good fee for him as well. They lost Hughes in the summer as well. You know, Ollie Norman is a local lad to the area as well, so it's something of note that. But
Yeah.
a solid window where they've got bodies over the line, but losing Deloise guard. Is Owen Dale and Ronan Darcy as good as that? I think he's irreplaceable. I really do at this division and what Wigan can afford.
Wigan could have done with a centre back, Ben.
Yeah.
And we all know the one that they wanted. Not been able to get it over the line this month. Guard is outstanding. They've got money for Josh Stones, who obviously was scoring goals in the National League. I think they got 350 grand from York for his services as well. So for a player that's not even played first team football, to get nearly £500,000 is outstanding. I don't think the loans going back is a massive issue. Ramsey wasn't playing much. Hugill didn't cut it. And Ronan Darcy adds a bit of flair and creativity that Telo Asgar would miss. Robinson's a young lad from Arsenal. They've been pretty good at picking up lads from academies of top Premier League clubs and turning them into good players. You think of ones that they've had before. Anthony Robinson, I think he was in the Premier League and then they turned him around and he's gone through at Wigan and done outstanding. Matt Smith's another one that came through at Arsenal. They've now got him and he's got him playing amazing as well. Will Goodwin offers him something different up front, maybe not hit the ground running so far. In middle of C category, your thoughts?
Yeah, bang on. Rotherham United had a quiet window, just the 3 loanees, and Panzu, the Leyton Town legend, with over 400 appearances. Louis Sibley joined on loan, as well as Dan Gore. A fairly quiet window, which was probably expected. Dan Gore will be eager to show kind of what he can do. He had a really bad injury at Port Vale last season. You know, Louis Sibley has provided a bit of an attacking input at different times over his career. Panzu, experienced player like Steve Evans likes. I don't think it's been amazing.
And because they lost some big players. Christ He's gone over to play in Hungary. Kevin Bramall, they've managed to get money for him. So appreciate that, Rotherham, for selling him to Portsmouth. Obviously, they lost Hungbo and Asong, who have gone elsewhere in League One. And the ends don't thrill me. This Rotherham team had a real chance to gain some momentum and really put a playoff run together. Does the incoming of Louis Sibley, Perry Ruddock and Panzu and Dan Gore shout to me Rotherham are here for a serious playoff bid? No. I like Mpanzu. He brings a lot of power, which Steve Evans' teams generally need a lot of power from midfield. Dan Gore adds that little bit of flair that when Joe Powell's not on it, they've got Dan Gore. And Louis Sibley's a tenacious midfielder as well, hard-working. Come in, see, Ben. Feel like they could have probably done a little bit more.
There we are. So far, Burton Albion in B, the highest of all of those bottom clubs. Next up is Mansfield, who signed Matthew Craig on loan, who's impressed at Doncaster Rovers last season club. Jordan Rhodes on loan, the experienced striker that did well at Blackpool in the first half of last year. Jordan Rhodes knows where the net is and could do a job for the Stags in the second half of this campaign. But a business, I think, that Mansfield accept they're going to be in League One next season, which is a good season for the Stags after coming up for the first time after a while in League Two.
Yeah, I like some of the business. Ben, Matt Craig, obviously we saw him at Doncaster, and maybe the step up to Barnsley was maybe one a little bit too big for him, so playing as a sub. And I think in this Mansfield team, Matty Craig's going to play a lot of football, and I think we'll maybe see last season's Matty Craig. I really don't know, Ben, where to put Mansfield. I'm toying really with the idea of, again, putting them similar to where Rotherham and Northampton are.
Yeah,
I don't want to break that. I don't want to break this up, Ben, but I think Mansfield, I would say personally, Northampton had a better window than Mansfield.
I think I've got to get behind that. I think I'll agree with that. A lot of clubs just do okay, where it'd be hard to put them in a top category, and you're not quite.
It's a hard window, Ben, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a really difficult window.
A lot of loans, isn't it? The Seasiders, Blackpool, added Tom Bloxham, which I thought was a very good signing. Niall Ennis came in on loan, and Sammy Silvera. Am I right with that?
That's spot on, mate.
There we are. Tom Bloxham is a great signing from Shrewsbury. Actually scored against the Seasiders at the start of the year. Niall Ennis is a good signing as well. Also scored the other day. A decent window overall. They did lose Norburn. Overall, I don't think the business excites me enough for them to go and push on for a playoff spot.
Yeah, probably somewhere between Exeter and Wigan for me, Ben, in terms of the tier list. In terms of the fact that I think they got a good fee for Carl Joseph, reportedly £3 million. They've not lost anybody significant other than Carl Joseph, I don't think. Elliot Embleton, not a huge loss. Norburn, Ashworth, Ballard weren't playing a lot of first-team minutes. And Niall Ennis as well, a goal scorer, but I think he offers something similar to Bloxham. So in terms of profile, they've maybe brought in two strikers that are quite similar.
Lincoln City, a club that you know a lot about. A lot of players going out the door on loan, the likes of Rob Street, JJ McKieran, that are pulling up trees. Big ones that Paudie O'Connor, that Sean Rowan, that Ethan Arahan are still Lincoln City players. That has to be taken into account. With adding James Collins, who's got pedigree at this level as well. Joe Gardner is an exciting loan as well. Sam Clucas has had a good career, but can't quite get into the squad at the minute for unknown reasons. Not the most glamorous window for Lincoln City, where they added Joe Taylor last year, but a window where they kept the better players for now.
Yeah, that was important to keep them. And obviously, if you listen to our director of football, we turned down two significant bids for arguably two of those three players. I'm not quite sure who it was, but to keep all three of them, selling one or two of them would have given the indication to fans that we are happy to settle for mid-table League One. Keeping the three of them sort of almost keeps the season alive a little bit in the fact that we've still got three players that could play the level above Rahan quite comfortably. Paudie O'Connor, I think, could do it as well. I like the ins. James Collins has come in and made an impact. 2 goals in 3. Really like him. Think he's fast, really a big player off the pitch for Lincoln. Sam Clucas, we're yet to see because of unknown reasons. Like you mentioned, Joe Gardner looks really talented coming out of the Forest Academy, but we don't know a lot about him. In terms of the outs, nothing significant. Saxon early went back to Plymouth, but we secured a good fee for Dylan Duffy. We've got good loan moves for Rob Street and JJ McKiernan, who have both hit the ground running at the new clubs. I'm probably thinking top of C, Ben. I think we've had a better window than Exeter, but I don't think we've had as good a window as Burton.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Stevenage, very quiet window. Brandon Hanlon and Kyle Edwards boosted their attacking options. With players starting to come good and Stevenage on a good run, they didn't really need to go and desperately add players. Is it good enough to go and push Stevenage into the playoffs? I don't think so.
Yeah, this Stevenage team were lacking pace for the first half of the season. They had lots of technically good players, and they often have been playing Jordan Roberts and Jamie Reid out wide towards the top end of C, maybe around where Rotherham and Wigan and Blackpool are sort of chilling out, maybe down here. Ben, your thoughts?
Yeah, bang on, agree with you there, mate. I think that plenty of options there, a lot of in C. Maybe a few A's and B's coming up as we go up through the table. Now, one that I feel quite not passionate about, but I think they've had a poor window is Barnsley.
Yep.
Figueira came in. They've got a goalkeeper. Can you let me know who the goalkeeper is, please, Jake?
Joe Gauci.
And Dexter Lem.
I haven't got it written down, so let me.
Lembikisa? Yeah. And Clement Rodriguez. Look, they lack a centre forward. They've lacked a centre forward for about 9 months. They really have. They lost Devante Cole, who struggled in the back half of last year. That's why he didn't get promoted, in my opinion. Cosgrove wasn't good enough, who they've lent on loan to Stockport as well. They are 2 or 3 bodies short. They've gambled on unproven signings that haven't played this level. They needed players that could hit the ground running straight away. They've got this obsession with loanee goalkeepers that I don't understand. I know that you often say that Lincoln go that way because you can get a better option. But for me, I think over a period, you need a good goalkeeper. I just think their business has been really poor. I'm very tempted to put it in F. I think it's been that poor.
I'm with you, Ben. I think Barnsley have had the worst window in League One in terms of what they can have. Look, let's get the good bit stuff out the way. They've kept Luca Connell. They've kept Phillips. They've kept Davis Keeler-Dunn. That's all well and good, but we've known for 18 months that this Barnsley team need a striker, a good striker that's going to consistently find the net. This lad that they've brought in on loan from Bastia has scored 7 career goals. That to me doesn't strike as somebody who's going to find the net. And look, I can already see the comments now from a certain individual telling us that we're going against Barnsley again. But it's a poor window. They needed a centre back, and they needed a striker, and they've got neither. They've brought in a left back, a goalkeeper, a right back, and a striker that doesn't know how to score. And I don't think he's ever played in England. So we'll have to wait and see. But for me, Ben, it doesn't. They've not backed Darryl Clark. In the summer, I felt like they had backed Darryl Clark with some of the signings that they made. You know, Keeler-Dunn, Hourahan and Mark Roberts' experience. Humphreys, very good at this level as well. That backing has just completely disappeared. And they've sort of left him come out to dry because Barnsley fans expect to finish in the top 6 of this league. I think they've had the worst window in League One.
Agree. I really agree. And definitely, for me, go down there because Barnsley, unlike Crawley, can have more. And I just think they lack ambition. I really do. Bolton Wanderers, very interesting. They've had a good window in terms of they brought a manager in that they wanted in Steven Schumacher, who's a good manager at this level. They brought in Joel Randall. They brought in Alex Murphy, Keane Atete into the football club as well. Dion Charles left the football club, which has left a hole.
Ben, a couple of years ago, me and you used to absolutely praise Bolton Wanderers for getting the January window so right every year. You look at the time they've been in League One. What they do is they recruit in the January, ready for them to hit the ground running the next season. I can't see that with this Bolton window. I think it's been for Bolton Wanderers and the position that they're in. I think this is a really, really bad window. Let's start off with Dion Charles, their goal threat. You know, he has gone to Huddersfield, a promotion rival. Yes, they've got a good fee. Yes, he's 29. But they didn't bring anyone in to replace him. They didn't bring the same profile centre forward. They brought in Keane Atete, who, as I've said to many Bolton fans, probably had one of the worst centre forward displays I've ever witnessed at Sincil Bank when he was up front for Cheltenham. Joe Randall is probably the shining light on this window for me, for Bolton. I don't think Bolton have had a good enough window on the pitch. Off the pitch, been brilliant. Steven Schumacher getting rid of Everett was massive for them, bringing in as good a manager as they could do at the bottom end of C, because their window, quite frankly, for Bolton Wanderers, the money they've got has not been good enough to get them up, in my opinion.
I think going into January with Ian Everett in charge was the worst thing they could have done.
Yeah.
Because I think if they had Steven Schumacher in charge from about the middle of December or the start of December, around about after that Stockport game, he gets a month to work with the players, and then all of a sudden he brings players in ready that he knows for next season. I think their window has been cobbled together just to get them through this season for the first time. Whereas with Ian Everett, they knew that he was doing okay on a consistent basis. The fans were happy. Whereas we all knew there was going to be a change. And Sharon Britton kind of waited and then made the change probably a bit too late. And I think that was a factor for this Bolton window. I don't think it's a factor for players they could get. I do feel this year is a free hit for Bolton Wanderers. I really do. That if they don't go up this year, the fans won't moan as much as last year or the year before, because they never really expected it a month ago, which is crazy to say. But if they do get up, who knows? Oxford maybe went up a year too early, but found a way. Football can change. Oxford 12 months prior nearly were in League Two.
Bolton in D.
Yes, Bolton Wanderers in D. Join D. Again, in those bottom two tiers, Tyler Bindon left the Royals, however, getting him back on loan. I don't feel you can knock him down for that. A bit like Mason Clark, you've got to play till the end of the year. They're not going to get weaker. They've got a bit of money for him. Steady. So we won't. Losing Sam Smith, however, is a big loss. Yes, they've got a decent fee, but where does that money go? I'm also a big believer, yes, you can get money, but where does the money go? Does it go back into the long-term future of the football club? Bringing in Billy Bowden adds an extra body. Overall, it wasn't amazing. We didn't really expect things from Reading. Job that Ruben Sellers and now that Noel Hunt is doing in charge of the Royals.
Yeah, it's been all right. I think we're probably going to put them in D, Ben, alongside Bristol Rovers, Shrewsbury and Bolton, probably towards maybe somewhere between Shrewsbury and Bristol Rovers, because to get that sort of fee for Sam Smith, the best player, then you're losing your best player to a team in the same league. Billy Bowden coming in is decent business, but he can't get a kick at Burton Albion, who are in the relegation zone. So getting Tyler Bindon back's a positive, but on that, Ben, you're really running out of words as to what to use this Reading window with. Obviously, they've got their hands tied. They can't do anything massive either way. They've done all they can. They kept Harvey Nibbs as well. That's one that you've not mentioned. That's a big plus, because there were lots of rumours about Derby and Hull and so for him. So, yeah, I think that's. I think it's for where Reading are. I think that's a good window. You look at the other teams that are in D. Yeah, they've had catastrophic windows for the position in which they are in the league. Reading, I don't think we could have put them any higher.
Charlton Athletic brought in two signings in on deadline day, Tom McIntyre and Alex Gilbert, both on loan. Tom McIntyre is a player that I quite like. He did very well at Reading before jumping to Portsmouth. Could be argued that the Addicts didn't really need to do much given the recent form as well and their business in the summer window as well. However, have they done enough to get a playoff spot? You look at Leyton Orient bringing Abdullah in, Dylan Markandi into the football club as well. Randall Williams also in. I just feel maybe a couple more bodies, maybe a striker into the football club. Although, a couple of nice decisions on deadline day, maybe two less.
Yeah, not really backed Nathan Jones in the way that Charlton Athletic can back their managers in League One, given they are quite a big club. But Alex Gilbert looks tidy coming in from Middlesbrough. We said it last night, Ben, he scored a winning goal for Middlesbrough at Hull in the Championship a matter of weeks ago. So clearly someone very talented at 23, probably one that maybe they'll feel they can turn into a permanent in the summer. Tom McIntyre, I think that's brilliant in terms of balance. They needed a left-sided centre-back with Romani Edmonds-Green leaving the football club on deadline day as well. So also the announcement for both of those signings, Ben, the videos, I don't know if you've seen either of them, automatically for me give them some brownie points. Getting in the playoffs, Ben? Yes, they do. I think the recruitment has maybe not just the recruitment now, but in terms of the manager, the current team, I think they stand a chance. They're probably still too inconsistent for my liking to do it, but they're giving themselves every chance on paper. So I think we're probably looking towards the top end of C.
I agree with that, mate. Absolutely so. Leyton Orient added some real quality, the likes of Sonny Perkins, I really like as well. Romani Edwards-Green, Randall Williams are all decent squad players as well. Dylan Marcandy really impressed me at his loan spell at Chesterfield, joining Leyton Orient on loan, having that progressive overload of a step from League 2 to League 1. It really feels this year that they've backed Richie Wellens, where in previous years they haven't. The league position, they are in the playoffs, and he's done that with limited resources at times this year. After a poor start in the playoffs, maybe Leyton Orient, the board, the manager feels this is their time under Richie Wellens, because if they don't go up this time, can I see him being Leyton Orient manager next season? Yes. Can I see him finishing the season as Leyton Orient boss next year? No. I think in the next 12 to 15 months, we'll see Richie Wellens in a different post if Leyton Orient aren't backed. And I think this window, they brought in some good gems in. I really do. Some on loan.
Yeah, they have massively backed him. You take your mind back to a year ago, Ben, and Leyton Orient were in a similar position, involved in the playoff conversation after a particularly good run over the festive period. And the January last year, in comparison to this year, was ridiculously poor. You look at last year, Ben, Brandon Cooper came in on a permanent. Ollie O'Neill, who's probably a decent side. Daniel Adua-J made no impact. Keon Edwards from Arsenal made no impact last year. Jack Simpson came in as well. He wasn't backed last January whatsoever to kick on, and therefore later on, sort of their season fizzled out. Whereas this year, they've paid fees for 4 players. I think that tells you a lot about where Leyton Orient are in the landscape of League One. That they're able to pay players out of contracts. Kande has probably been the pick of the bunch, really. His creativity at Chesterfield was particularly outstanding in the first half of the season. So I think we're finally getting a club to join Burton Albion here, Ben. I think we are finally chucking a team in B, because I really like the recruitment that Orient have done. I really think it's backed Richie Wellens. And that was probably what was needed to keep him at the club, Ben, because if they hadn't, and a championship job had become available in February, March, I could have seen Richie Wellens taking that job. But now, because they backed him, I feel like he's maybe feeling a little bit more inclined to see the project out as far as he can take it.
I do think he will stay to the end of the year as well, if Leyton Orient are in with a chance of getting to the playoffs. Like Steve Evans jumped ship, where I think Stevenage were pretty much out of the playoff race with 3 or 4 games to go last year. Huddersfield Town, intense. Ruben Ruskin came into the football club. Joe Taylor also joined the football club. Dion Charles, a real pedigree at this level as well, as Joe Taylor joins for a big fee. Unfortunately injured. Dion Charles, a regular goal scorer at Bolton Wanderers, either a 9 or a 6. He's a very patchy player. That's my only issue with them. They didn't really need to add lots, but they did lose Heelick, which is a massive loss. But they added 2 real centre forwards that can score goals to get them up the league.
Huddersfield Town, for me, have had the best window in the whole league, for me.
Losing Heelick, though, is a massive loss, mate.
Yeah, no doubt about it, but they still have quality at the back.
I think them and Stockport have had the best windows this year.
So then all of a sudden, you got to put them in A. If they've had the best, one of the best windows. Joe Taylor, bagsman at this level. We saw it last season. I saw it at a closer level. Fantastic player. Unfortunate to get injured. Scored 47 minutes into his debut at Blackpool. I think he's going to be a right signing. And I know they've paid the fee now. It looks big, but the lad's 21, 22. Similar to what we spoke about with Stansfield in the summer. Joe Taylor has probably been bought in preparation for Huddersfield to be in the Championship, and my goodness me, it's an outstanding addition. Dion Charles has scored bags and bags of goals at this level. Accrington, Bolton. To take Bolton's probably one of their best players off them. Outstanding. Ruben Ruskins has been okay, but he got sent off on his debut, I think. Sat up and took note. I went, Huddersfield are in the automatic race here. And I think ultimately that's where they'll finish, in second place behind Birmingham. So
we've got to go A. I think that someone's going to go up there. Stockport County, losing Louis Barry will go against him. He was on loan. And I get that loan players, and we've ranked them other clubs down for losing loan players. They knew Louis Barry was going to go in December. They had prior warning. He left. He was irreplaceable, no matter what anyone says. You will not sign players that replaces Louis Barry's quality right away. However, signings of Micah Hamilton on loan. I think Owen Moxon coming in on loan. Brad Hills is one of the signings that will go under the radar. I thought he was excellent on loan from Norwich at Accrington Stanley last year. Owen Moxon was flared in a struggling Carlisle side. Loves the goal against Fleetwood and loves the set piece. All right, I like the sign of Sam Cosgrove for them. Maybe not up to the levels where Barnsley are, but Stockport, although they're above them in the table, don't have as bigger expectations as Barnsley because where they've been in previous years. He will add something to their side, a bit of a hold-up player, a bit of an improvement on a Kyle Wotton in my eyes as well, who has a lot other than the goals as a centre-forward. He'll score a few there as well. Good window. They brought in Brecky as well. Losing Louis Barry was absolutely massive, but that Brecky Anderson scored 21 and 26 in the Icelandic top division last year.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ben, in saying that Stockport are another team that are going to slip into this A category alongside Huddersfield. A great window for them. They've backed Dave Challoner. You look at the ins. Micah Hamilton scored in the Champions League last season for Manchester City. He's very talented. I was surprised that they sold him to Middlesbrough. So for him to come on loan to League One, it's quite scary. Brad Hills is outstanding. Great year at Accrington. Really highly thought of at Norwich City. A really, really good player. And at only 20 years of age, it feels like the perfect move for him to go and play at the top end of this league. Owen Moxon's great. He's a title winner from last year. Experience of how to get promoted. Scored some big goals for Carlisle, but also for Portsmouth. He scored that worldie, didn't he, against Derby on Sky Sports. So a player that can hit it from range, which perhaps Stockport have been critiqued to try and walk the ball in the net sometimes. Maybe your one critique of them would be that you just wish that they'd shoot from outside the box. And they've got Ollie Norwood, who's outstanding technically, so you'd have thought they might deploy that a little bit more often. But Owen Moxon is not afraid to have a go. And at 27, he's in the prime of his career. Now they look almost a dead cert to finish in the playoffs.
Agree with that. Wrexham next up, and a lot always gets said because of Wrexham. They brought in Ryan Longman, Jay Rodriguez, and Sam Smith. Sam Smith is a great bit of business. The Red Dragons are aimed to try and finish in the top two. Rodriguez raised eyebrows, but not a massive fan of that signing. I think he judged on what he did 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. That Sam Smith is a great signing as well. They let John Daddy Bartholson leave the football club because he didn't suit into their business. They've got 7 strikers now, which I feel is too many. However, I still feel this Wrexham side won't get the top 2. And there's a few reasons for that. What do you make of the business? Because Sam Smith is excellent, but I'm unsure on Rodriguez.
The money they've spent, and that will get thrown at them, Wrexham, because they've spent a lot of money. I think for the money they spent, they could have got a lot higher quality of player. Sam Smith is a good centre forward, but for £2 million, Ben, just to throw it the other way, Huddersfield spent another £1 million and got Joe Taylor. Joe Taylor or Sam Smith, I know which centre forward I would rather have. Ryan Longman, I think, is a decent player, but for 500 grand, it's a lot of money. Jay Rodriguez on the contract that he's on, I agree with you. I don't think they needed another experienced head up there. I think they've got the likes of Mullin, Palmer, and Stephen Fletcher. They didn't need to go out and add Jay Rodriguez, who, yes, he's done it in the Premier League for Burnley, but particularly not. I don't understand why they've brought him in on the contract that he's on. Could have done with another starting centre back. Lewis Brunt obviously is coming through as a young lad as well. So, yeah, I think it's been a decent window for Wrexham, but pound for pound, not fantastic. I'd probably have them right at the bottom end of B, or maybe even the top end of C, Ben. I've really not been impressed.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Which one should we stick them in?
B. With B. We'll go with B. Next up is Wycombe Wanderers, who they did lose Aaron Moore, who went back on loan. They did lose Caleb Taylor, who has since come back. So think we can add a position up for them. They did lose Matt Bloomfield this window. However, they kept Richard Coney, which is massive. They signed some experienced players in Adam Reach. I thought it was a great signing. Will Norris has experience. Finn Baku's on loan at Carlisle. They signed permanently. Alex Lowry, they also brought in. James Berry's an exciting, a real signing of intent for the future. Sonny Bradley on loan, who also has experience as well. Andreas Helgerscar is a decent signing from what I've seen so far as well. Javier Simmons, when he was at Fleetwood last year, showed promise and has done well in the Championship at times this year. Caleb Taylor, we mentioned, brought back. Westergaard also joined the football club as well. They've got a new manager, decent window. How would you rank that? Because they only really lost Aaron Morley. Forget Bloomfield. They only really lost Aaron Morley and brought in a really good winger in James Berry. Caleb Taylor returned. Xavier Simmons will add experience. I think it's been a really, really good window for them. And I'd be half tempted to put them in the topper sections.
I'm throwing them in A with Stockport.
Yeah, because they brought a lot of players in, and all of a sudden they've got a real squad now instead of an 11, where they had an 11 every week.
Yeah, I think it's a top window. They've brought in 12 players, I think it was. Clearly, but I think the reason what moves them from a B to an A is they've kept Kone. They were offered ridiculous sums of money for Richard Kone, and they feel that his value is better off staying with them and helping them get promoted to the Championship. Or in the summer, if they fail to do that, they'll obviously sell him for a big fee as well. I like some of them. I like some of them more than others. Caleb Taylor, I particularly like. Reach adds a bit of experience. He's played at the top end of the Championship. Sonny Bradley, they needed as a big bruiser of a centre-back. Berry, I think, is more of a developmental one. Obviously, I think he's been promoted in every season that he's played. Macclesfield, Chesterfield, and potentially now this year with Wycombe. The lads from the two Danish lads, look, I love Danish players playing in League One. So Magnus Vestergaard and Anders Hagelskjær are going to automatically get my vote. Really good out-of-the-box recruitment as well. Like you say, Aaron Morley's the only loss, but they've been able to find temporary solutions for Matt Butcher, Alex Hartridge, Tafazoli, Nathan Bishop. So, yeah, I think he's been up there. I think it's on par with Stockport. They've clearly got money to spend, Wycombe, and they've spent it in key areas. And I think it's, to be honest, Ben, I think it's recruitment that if it doesn't get them up this year, it will most certainly get them up next year when League One perhaps isn't as strong.
Wycombe Wanderers are up there, which they needed to do. A lot more confident they were a month ago, maybe. Birmingham City, let's be honest, they didn't really need to do much, did they? They brought in the likes of Grant Hanley, Kieran Dowell, who I loved at Sheffield United a few years ago, but struggled since then. Lee Mwang Jae, I'll go with the South Korean international. It has experience, it has a bit of pedigree to get him over that line for next season. They are very nearly there. I would say they're maybe 9 victories away from securing promotion with just 19 games to go. They've been phenomenal at times this year as well. It hasn't been an absolute unbelievable window. They've kept the squad together. They've kept the manager. Everything seems settled. Nobody even wants to come and touch the players because they just seem so out of range for everyone, don't they?
Yeah, B for me, Ben, alongside Orient and Burton, probably in that gap there. Like you say, they've added where they needed to. They needed backup for Alex Cochrane. They've brought in a Korean lad, and if he's as good as the other lad from the Republic of Korea that they've got, then League One's in absolute more trouble than we already are in. Grant Hanley to come and sit as a 4th, 5th choice centre half is nuts, given he was playing in Premier League football not long ago. Kieran Dowell is someone that I've liked all the way back from his Derby County days. And the deal, Ben, that you didn't mention there, that I think is probably the best bit of business that they've done, is triggering the buy option in Taylor Gardner-Hickman's loan. He's been outstanding as a makeshift right back in central midfield, as a right attacker as well, that he's been asked to play under Chris Davis. So signing him on a permanent from Bristol City is particularly good because it's very obvious that he fits what they're trying to do at Birmingham. The best bit of business for them, really, I thought. Yeah, like you say, they didn't need much. They're already far too good for the level. But when you compare the change in which the teams that we've got above them in this list have made, then you sort of see why they slipped down the ladder a little bit. This Birmingham team will go down as one of the best that we've ever seen. And quite frankly, I can't wait for them to go away.
It's going to be interesting to see where they finish in the Championship. Our rankings then, Crawley and Barnsley make up F, not great windows. Aspiring for Bolton Wanderers, Bristol Rovers, Reading and Shrewsbury Town, all fighting for different things in the division. Others that just had okay windows, Lincoln, Charlton maybe could do with a bit more. Exeter City, Blackpool, Stevenage, Wigan, Rotherham, Northampton, Mansfield, Peterborough and Cambridge, also in that middle section. Burton with a brilliant window. Birmingham with a blissful window, Leyton Orient with a beautiful window, bringing in wingers, and Wrexham with a buzzing window that they managed to bring in a couple of strikers. An absolutely fantastic window for Huddersfield Town, an absolutely amazing window for Stockport County, and well, what started off atrociously for Wycombe ended up absolutely
ace
for Wycombe Wanderers. There you go. Myself and Jake ranking the League One transfer window. Jake, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Go and follow Jake on Twitter or X, Jake_Tong98 as well. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe for future League One videos. Thank you for watching.